50几个，50几个还是60几个？
新增53个，帮你报出来了。这里是花啊。
他说的是，这不solutions，问题在哪？就是你不能把那个 solution 打印出来，你可以带作业。
那我跟我说的是，
这个 solution 不能带。
close the whole solution。
对呀、不能带 solution 啊，但是你可以把 solution 藏在红幕上面。
这可以可以。
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. So, the midterm rules are same as what I have posted for the last midterm. So, read that on the front page of the blank exam. Are there any questions about the midterm or anything like that? Okay, so if not, so let me, what I plan to do is continue where we were last time. So I was beginning to talk about these 4 different properties and how to understand these concepts. So first of all, the iteration bound, we saw that it is a fundamental bound on any computation that involves feedback. If there is feedback or a digital filter is a recursive digital filter, then there is always a fundamental bound on how fast we can compute one iteration. So there is always a limit, and that limit is not dependent on technology. in some sense or does not depend on how many computers you have. That's a bound that is fundamental to the algorithm. And then we began talking about three different things. So, well, I didn't talk about the retiming, which is the main topic for today. So, this pipelining, retiming and interleaving, slowdown or interleaving. So, these are three ways to improve this so-called throughput of the system. So, we spent a lot of time talking about how pipelining, particularly in case of feed-forward filters. If the system has no feedback, then we can pipeline by placing delays at appropriate locations at so-called cut sets. And if we can place delays at cut sets, then we can definitely improve the critical path or reduce the critical path and therefore reduce the clock period. Now, so the main distinction between pipelining and retiming is really about whether the delays are being placed or moved around. So that's really what our main topic today. So let me begin by reviewing what is pipelining. So pipelining is essentially a process of adding delays at feed-forward cut sets. And I didn't talk a lot last time about this term called feed-forward, and we'll talk about that today. So first of all, what is a cut set? So if I have a graph so think about these nodes are computing something and the edges are communicating. The edges might have delays, okay. So in this simple example that I have shown here, let's assume that each node computation time is 1 unit of time. So each node takes 1 unit of time. Okay. So what is the critical path? So there are how many paths here? I can say that the paths, as I talked about last time, paths cannot contain delay elements because this path has a delay element. So that's really, in some sense, that's breaking the critical, that's breaking the computation in some sense. So if you look at this path here, that's a path, and then this path. Okay. So this delay is 2 units, 1 and 2. 1 and 2, so this takes 2 units. So this path delay, so the path delays are 2, so these are path delays, and this is 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 2, okay, and that's, well, and then there is this, well, you can think of this node here as 1 if you want. I mean, that's okay, I mean that's doesn't really matter all that much. So the critical path is this path here. So out of all the paths, this is the longest path, and that's called the critical path, which means that the clock period is lower bounded by the critical path. So what is a cut set? So I can define, for example, I can define a cut set like, so this could be a cut set, this could be a cut set, this could be a cut set, for example. So a cut set is a set of edges. If I cut these three, I have this side and that side. If I cut this one, excuse me, so then there is this one node here that's cut from the remaining parts. If I take this one, I have this part here, these 3 nodes, and then this side. So a cut set is a set of edges which when cut disconnects the graph. Okay. So But these cut sets are called feed forward cut sets. Why is the word feed forward important? If you look at the data flow, the data is going from left to right, data is moving from left to right. So all the data on the three edges of this cut set are moving in the same direction. Same here, data is moving from left side to right side, and same here, moving from left side to right side. Okay. So that's why they are called feed forward, because the data are moving in one direction. If it so happened that the data was moving here from left to right, and if it so happened that it was right to left, that would no longer be called a feed forward cut set. Would no longer be called. So, so let me illustrate. Okay, so if I have this computation here, and then if I pick this cut set here, if you see the data is moving left to right and left to right and right to left. So this is a feedback cut set. Okay, so that is not a feed forward cut set. So when I say that pipelining principle says add delays at feed forward cut sets, at any feed forward cut set, that means it is, so I could not add. So in this example, it is appropriate if I add one delay here, one delay here, one delay here, that became two delays, and this is 1 and 1, that's perfectly fine. I will reduce the critical path from 4 time units to 2 time units. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. However, I could not, I mean it is not appropriate to add, so let's say even I choose this cut set here. Okay, so I add a delay here, I add a delay here, I add a delay here. Why is it that that's not a correct pipelining? That's not a correct pipelining, because the pipelining, so when we add delays at feed forward cut sets, it's simply increasing the latency, but it is not changing the computation. It is maintaining the integrity of the computation. Whatever we wanted to compute, exact same thing is being computed, but with 1 or 2 cycles delay. If there are 2 pipelining cut sets, then the outputs are available after 2 cycles. If there are 10 pipelining cut sets, same outputs are output after 10 cycles. Now here, if you look at the initial number of delays in the loop, I had 1, excuse me, that's not a loop. If I take this loop, so I start in this node, go around, come back. So this is a recursive computation, there is feedback. So I had 1 delay here and 1 delay here. Now what happens by placing delays at this feedback cut set, I have increased the number of delays from 2 to 4. Okay. So the feedback cut set, adding delays at feedback cut sets is not allowable. Delays at feedback cut sets is not allowable for pipelining, as it alters the function being computed. Okay, so by placing delays, so this is not, so by placing these delays is not allowed, because that's changing the computation, and we don't want to change pipelining, retiming, all of these approaches, slow down, all of these approaches are meant to keep the function the same. We are computing the same function. Okay, so basically it is important to understand what is a cut set, what is a feed forward cut set. All the data in the edges are moving in same direction, and you can add delays at feed forward cut sets to pipeline to reduce the critical path. If it is a feedback cut set, where the data in some edges are moving in some direction, other edges moving in other direction, and then adding delays is not allowed in pipelining. But that said, what retiming is a principle of moving around delays. So retiming is a process of So retiming is a process of moving, not adding delays, not adding new delays, but simply moving delays, moving existing delays around a feedback cut set. So whenever we have a feedback cut set, I can move delays around the cut set, and that's what is called a retiming. So let's take a simple example. Let's take the simplest example of a cut set is a node. So let's talk about node retiming. So node is a very basic cut set. So for example, if I have a certain node and there are incoming edges and outgoing edges, and let's say I have 2 delays here and 5 delays here and say 3 delays here. So this is an example of a node with 2 incoming edges and 3 outgoing edges. The incoming edges have certain number of delays and outgoing edges have certain number of delays. And why is it that the node is a cut set? If I cut all these edges of the node is isolated and disconnected from whatever else is going around in the computation. So a node is a simple cut set, because if I cut all the edges, this node is isolated from the graph. So now the graph is disconnected into 2 components, 2 disconnected components. Okay, so what retiming says is, and by the way, if you look at these cut sets, some of the edges are incoming to the cut sets and some are outgoing. So what retiming says, the principle of retiming says, move certain number of delays, say I delays, from incoming and add same I delays to outgoing edges. So remove I delays from each incoming edge and add I delays to each outgoing edge. So for example, I could move 1 delay from here, so I have now 5, I can move 1, I have 4, I add 1 here, the 3 became 4, and this at 0, that became 1. So that is a valid retiming. So I removed 1 delay from each incoming edge, added 1 delay to each outgoing edge. That will not change the function that we are computing. It will not change the function. So it will maintain the same functionality of the system. Okay. So let me go back to the example I had. Okay, so let's say that okay, let's say that we have this so-called data flow graph, but I am not really going to talk a lot about the model. I mean, that's nodes are computing something, edges are communicating. So so that's so again, let's assume that each node is 1 unit of time. So what is the critical path? Still 3. Is it okay? What really is the critical path here? By the way, instead of talking about critical path, let's talk about the iteration period bound. So what is the lowest bound on the clock period? So the iteration bound is the max of the 2 loops. There are 2 loops here, loop 1 and loop 2. Let's call this loop as 1 and the loop here as 2. So there are 2 loops. So let's see. First loop, I start here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So computation time is 5. Number of delays in that loop 1, 2. The second loop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still 5. Number of delays only 1. Okay, that says the iteration period bound is 1. So that means that 5, we can never achieve a critical path less than 5. Okay. Now, what is the actual critical path? Well, so there is something called a precedence graph, which is remove edges with delays. So if you remove all edges with delays, why? Because edges with delays break the critical path. So if I remove those, then I have this, okay, this hanging in there, that here, I remove that edge, and then okay. So precedence graph is the graph obtained from the so-called data flow graph. So precedence graph by definition cannot contain delays because we have removed all edges containing delays. Okay. So there is no delay here. So that's really saying what the critical path is. So I can see from the precedence graph, these are all concepts used in computing or designing compilers, compiler theory. So I can see that this path here has a computation time 2. This you have to consider this as a path. This is a disconnected node setting here, but you still have to consider that as a path, because if you don't, then that would be a mistake, and I will give an example why that would be a mistake. And then this path here, starting here all the way, going here. So, so the critical path here, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, is really here. This critical path is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the critical path is 6 time units. So which means that even though the clock period is lower bounded by 5, this data flow graph or this graph has a critical path of 6. Now, I may or I may not, but still, because the bound is 5, I can try to see if retiming can help in reducing the critical path to the iteration period bound. So I could indeed do a very simple retiming. By doing a very simple retiming, I can reduce the critical path to 5 by many ways. There is not a single way to do that. All I have to do really is break that long path here, and I can do that in many ways. So one way I can do that. So one retiming approach is take this node, and instead of removing, I did say that I did say remove I delays from incoming edge and add I delays to outgoing edge. I could do the reverse. I could do just the reverse. I could remove I delays from, okay, I could say incoming, I could say outgoing, okay, in bracket. So I could remove I delays from outgoing edge and I delays to incoming. So either way, it doesn't matter. So I could start with the red marked configuration, and then I could remove this delay, one delay from here, one delay from here, put them back in the incoming. So one simple solution is for me to retime across this node and move this delay from the output to the input, and that will break that path will go away, okay, that path will go away, and then this node will be connected here, and that path will be 2, and now this path will be 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let me just draw that one to just make sure that we understand. So so if I do that retiming, move that delay, okay, so if I remove that delay from the outgoing edge to the incoming edge, and then draw the precedence graph. So that would be this node, these delays are removed, this delay is removed, this is here, that delay is gone, that edge is gone, and then I have this one here, connected here, connected here, connected here. Okay, so that's our precedence graph. So this is one path, that path computation time is 2, and this whole thing is another path, and that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the two paths, the critical path is this path, this is the critical path because that's the path with longest time. So that is the critical path, and the critical clock period is greater than the critical path, which is 5. Okay. So that's not the only solution, there are many other solutions. So one other thing that I could do, for example, so what I could do, I could pick a cut set like that. This is a feedback cut set, data is moving to right across these two and moving left in this edge. So I could remove one delay from the edges going from left to right and add one delay in the edge going from right to left. And then if I draw the precedence graph to see what the critical path is, okay, that's it. So one thing doesn't make sense. There is some mistake. Okay, so I should add because this delay is gone. So I knew quickly there is a mistake because that would, the critical path would be 4, and that's impossible because the iteration period bound is 5. You can never have a critical path less than 5. So I knew something was missing, and this edge should be connected because I've removed that delay. I've removed that delay, so that edge is gone. This edge is gone. This edge now is back on, and this is now removed. So now you can see that the critical path is this path. So that's 5. This critical path is 2, and this critical path is 1. Okay. So so let me tell you why this single node is important. Let's say that this node itself had time to compute that node is a 20 and all other nodes are 1. This node is a macro node, these are micro nodes computing small amount of computations. If it is a computer program, think about this has 20 lines of code and these have all 1 line of code. Okay, although I mean you have to take 1 line of code doing 1 computation. Okay, 1 line of code may be doing 100 computations. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay, so then if this is 20, well, that's 20. This is 2, this is 5, this is 20. So that becomes the critical node, and that's the critical path time. So that's why you have to consider all possible paths, even though the path may contain a single node. Okay, so so those are all 2 different ways that we can reduce the critical path from 6 to 5 in this particular example. So that's really all retiming is. Retiming is an approach to moving around delays. So retiming and pipelining, if you try to compare these methods, one does not introduce latency. And this increases latency. 2 moves delays around and it adds delays at feed forward cut sets. Moves delays around feedback cut sets. Three can decrease critical path. This also can decrease critical path. 4 can either increase or decrease number of delays or states. Always increases number of delays or states. Okay, so when I am adding delays at the pipelining cut sets, I am always increasing the number of delays in the system. Whereas by retiming, I may either increase or decrease the number of delays. For example, in this very simple example, you can see before I retimed this computation, there were 2 delays. 3 delays, 1 here and then 2 here. Now, after retiming, I have 2 delays, 1 and 1. So, so retiming can either increase or decrease number of delays depending on whether the number of edges contain more delays in the incoming edges or outgoing edges altogether. So that's really why it may either increase or decrease. I mean, as if I go back to the beginning example here, in this particular example, the number of incoming edges is 2, outgoing is 3. So when I move delays from input side to the right hand side, what happens? I increase the number of delays by 1. When I push delays from right to left, from the output to input, 3 delays are removed, 2 are added. So I decrease the number of delays by 1. So depending on the number of inputs and outputs of the cut set edges, then we can either increase or decrease the number of delays. Okay. All right. So, so retiming is very similar to pipelining, but has its own properties. So why are we really interested in retiming? It so happens retiming is a very simple tool to create many new digital filter structures, including FIR filter structures. So let's try to understand how I can derive a transpose FIR filter. We have seen what transpose FIR filter is, but I can derive that by retiming. Okay. So how can I derive the FIR filter, transpose filter by retiming? Well, before I talk about retiming the filter, let me just talk about the associativity of add operations. So if I am adding 10 different things, it doesn't really matter how I add them. So if, for example, if I am adding A plus B first, followed by C, that same thing as add B and C first, followed by A. So the add operation does not really care how I add 10 different things. It doesn't matter how I am adding 10 different things. I can add them in any order I like. So to understand how I can use this retiming as an approach to generate transpose form FIR filter, think about, so let's say this is yn, so this is the original yn is equal to A times xn plus B times bxn minus 1 plus C times xn minus 2 plus D times xn minus 3 plus E times xn minus 4. So I have this computation A xn plus B xn minus 1 plus C xn minus 2 plus D xn minus 3 plus E xn minus 4. So this is a 5-tap or 4th order FIR filter, and that is the structure I can have for the direct form FIR filter. Now, instead of adding in the direct form filter these multiplication results from input to output, I could do that, I could certainly do that. But instead of that, I could add these from output to input, from right side to left side. So nothing has really changed. All I have done is adding these multiplication results. It doesn't matter in what order I add them. I could add them from left to right or right to left. And then, so we are still computing same thing, A times xn, B times xn going through 1 delay, C times xn going through 2 delays, D going through 3, E going through 4. Okay. So now if I choose these feedback cut sets, data moving this edge from left to right, here right to left. So these cut sets are all feedback cut sets. The data in these edges are moving in different directions. So you remove the delay from the edges going from left to right and add one delay in these edges going from right to left. That's a valid retiming. That is a valid retiming. So I could do that, and indeed if I retime across these cut sets, then I would get the slightly different version of the transpose filter. So I have xn here, A, B, C, D, E. So this is a slightly different version of the transpose form filter where the outputs are added from right to left. So you can still see that this is computing A times xn, B multiplied by x going through 1 delay, C going through 2 delays, D going through 3, going through 4 delays. And now I could say, okay, well, the input xn, I can say as if the input xn is now coming from right hand side. Okay, so I could say, okay, well, now my input is coming from this side. So this is xn. It doesn't matter. This is ultimately going to these multiplication inputs. And then if you redraw that, that's our familiar transpose structure. If I redraw that with input on the left side, redraw that. So then I have xn, and then E go through 1 delay, multiply by D, add 1 delay, multiply by C, add one delay, okay, that's our familiar transpose FIR structure. So we can design the transpose FIR structure from the original direct form structure by simply retiming where the delay elements are moved from the top edges to the bottom edges. Now here is the thing, although we can do that, and that's nice to see that I can derive the transpose structure from the original structure, but I can now derive many more structures. So for example, so if I take the same example, you have to add these results from right to left to create feedback cut sets. So even though the algorithm does not contain feedback, it is a feed forward computation. Nevertheless, we are intentionally creating this feedback cut set by having some edges going from left to right and some edges computing from right to left. Now I can in fact choose to create retiming cut sets that are not every consecutive edges here, but every alternate. So I keep the delay on the top, I will move the delay from here to the bottom. Keep that delay, move this from top to bottom. So if I retime across those cut sets, okay, so I have now moved out of the 4 delays, I kept 2 on the top and we moved 2 to the bottom by instead of having all 4 cut sets as in the previous example, now we have chosen alternate multiply add stages. So I can now compute, so instead of adding cut sets here after every multiply, now I have after every alternate multiply. So out of the 4 delays, 2 are on the top, 2 are on the bottom. You can check A times input, B times input with 1 delay, C times input with 2 delays, 1 here, 1 here, D times input with 3 delays, and E times input with 4 delays. Okay, so that's not changed the computation. It is still exactly computing the same equation that we want to compute. So that's still computing the same thing. So I can say that here, these kinds of things when they pipelining, okay, here does not introduce latency. So for example, it is still computing the same transfer function h of z if it was a simple digital filter, whereas here it's going to compute z to power minus m times h of z, where m is the number of pipelining cut sets. So the transfer function would be changed because of this latency, whereas here there is no latency, so the transfer function is the same. Okay, so pipelining, so I could use pipelining and retiming in combination as well. So that's something And that really is the goal is to not just use pipelining or retiming separately, but use them together. But let me show one example of okay, so pipelining and retiming are their disjoint concepts are often or almost always, not often, almost always used together. Okay, by the way, these are all embedded into all kinds of design tools that you use to synthesize circuits, but we won't get into those things. We are more interested in applications of pipelining and retiming at higher levels. So let's take an example of the let's take an example of a third order IIR digital filter. Okay, let's say the inner loop has 2 delays and the outer loop has 1 delay. So okay, let's say that we have some kind of a, if I take this as A, B, C, D, E, so the transfer function I can quickly write that down as a C plus D times Z to power minus 2, so the input going through D with 2 delays plus E times Z to power minus 3 divided by 1 minus A Z to power minus 2 minus B Z to power minus 3. Okay, that's the transfer function. If I assume that the multiply takes 10 units of time and the add takes 2 units of time as an example, then the iteration period bound, which will be the inner loop is 10 plus 2 plus 2, that's 14, computation time of 14 divided by 2 delays, that's 7. The outer loop, again 10 plus 2 plus 2 divided by 3, that loop has 3 delays, so 14 by 2 and 14 by 3, the max is 14 by 2, which is 7 units of time. So that's really the lower bound on the clock period or the critical path. We can never achieve a critical path that is less than 7, because that is the fundamental lower bound at which rate we can compute an iteration period. Okay, so the critical path has to be greater than this bound. So the question that I am asking is, how can we, okay, in this particular case, because the node time is 10, I really cannot easily reduce the, so the best thing I can do as it is the best thing I can do. Okay, let's talk about, okay, the bound is 7. That does not mean the bound is achievable. The bound is saying that's just a fundamental bound. That it doesn't say anything about the ability to achieve that bound. I may not be able to achieve that bound. So what is the best really I can do by pipelining, retiming, using all these ideas? The best thing I can do is really to reduce the time of each node, critical node, which are these multiplications, and that's 10 units of time. And so how do you think we can reduce the critical path to 10 units of time? Well, I can reduce the critical path to 10 units of time if I choose a cut set that looks, well, that can look really something like this. Okay. So I've taken a cut set here where the data is moving from, if you think about the whole top as one side, and inside of this is another side. So that's going from outside to inside, inside to outside, inside to outside, inside to outside, inside to outside. So think about outside to inside, and I move one delay out of here. I keep one, add a delay here, add a delay here, add a delay here, add a delay here. So now the critical path is, if I remove the delays, adjust with the delays, so the critical path is 10 for this node, 10 for here, 10, 10, and then 1, 2, this path is 2. This path is 1, 2, oh, this 10 is here. This 10 is, so I have to break that path also, which means that I should have one pipelining cut set. So this 1 and 2 will add to 10 and have to break that path coming here. And I can do that. This is a pipelining cut set. Why? Data are moving from this side to that side. That's feed forward. This is a feed forward cut set. Okay. And then this 10 and 1 will add. I need another pipelining cut set. So these two are two stages of pipelining. So these are feed forward cut sets, whereas this is a feed back cut set. So this says you add a delay here, add a delay here. This says add a delay here, add a delay here. Okay, so now I have reduced the critical path from, by the way, what was the critical path in the beginning? Start here 10, 12, 14, 24, 26. So the initial critical path, okay, that was the bound. The critical path initially was a 26 units of time, which is containing 2 multiplies and 3 adds. But we can pipeline and retiming, apply pipelining and retiming together via one retiming cut set and 2 pipelining cut sets. Then we can reduce the critical path from 26 to 10. I can't achieve 7. 7 is not achievable because the critical node computation time is 10. I can achieve 7 if I allow finer grain pipelining of the multiply. If I allow pipelining of the multiply, then I can achieve 7. That's possible to do, but without breaking up the multiply, I cannot. And as such, I cannot do that in software anyway. But if it was a hardware implementation where I can design circuits that contain fine grained pipelined multiplier, where the multiplication itself can be broken down to a 2-stage pipelined multiplier, and I can internally pipeline the multiplication here, then in fact I should be able to achieve a critical path that is same as the bound, which is 7 units of time. Otherwise, if I do not allow finer grain pipelining of the multiply, then the best you can do is the critical path of 10 time units. Okay, any questions so far? Okay, let's just continue with, okay, by the way, let me just talk about one other idea. How do you know that if we have changed the algorithm or not? So if you looked at the number of delays in this loop, there were 2 delays here, but after retiming, if you see there is 1 here, you go around the loop 1 and 2. The outer loop 1, 2, 3. So as such retiming, so pipelining will keep adding delays, but retiming cannot change the number of loop delays, does not change the number of loop delays. So I want to spend a little time talking about that, but let's talk about how and if it is even possible to allow finer grain pipelining of the multiply. Okay, so if I use a fine grain pipeline multiplier with one internal pipeline, that's called a two-stage pipeline multiplier. Okay, so if I do that, then so we are going to assume the multiplier is now broken into two parts. We can call it 1, 2, multiply one first part, second part. Okay, so this is the same filter. By the way, this filter now, because I've added two pipelining cut sets, you can say that the effective transfer function of this filter is now whatever I had in the beginning times z to power minus 2, because I've added two pipelining cut sets, and that's the latency. That means this transfer function is multiplied by 2 cycle latency, that's z to power minus 2. So we have broken down. So I want to achieve a critical path of 7. So I am interested in a critical path of 7 units of time. What does that say? Well, I know this takes, how many times does the add take? 2. This takes 2. So that means out of the 10 time units, I need to break this so that this must be 3. 2, 2, 3 will be 7. 2, 2, 3 will be 7. And that means the total multiply, that is 10 units of time, should be pipelined roughly about 7/10 of the way through the computation, and then plus pipelining delays so that we can break. This is the cut set. And then so if I choose, so think about these also as 7. Well, I guess it doesn't have to be 7 on this side. Doesn't have to be. I mean, I could keep them. Well, I am trying to achieve 7, yes. So that has to be exactly 7, right? If it is more than 7, that becomes the bottleneck. So so I pick one cut set like that, so that at least tells me. So these multipliers, all these multipliers are broken down into two parts, 1 and 2. So now this part, let's see, this part here so far 3 plus 2, okay, that's 5. 3 plus 2 plus 2, that's 7. Somehow I need to break that path going forward, which I can do that by that pipelining cut set I had before, which is fine, I can do that. So that path does not continue. So I pick, let's see what we are doing now. So I have pipelined internally. So 3 plus 2 plus 2, 7, that's path is broken, okay. 7 path is broken, 7 path is broken because of the delay. So I remove one delay from here, place the delay here and place the delay here. This part here is the feedback part, okay. Data is in a loop. This part here is feed forward. I can add delays in feed forward cut sets to pipeline this part. So that's not a bottleneck. I can place delays anywhere by choosing any feed forward cut set as much as needed. So let's now see. So this still has to be 7. So this has to be still 7 and 3. So that means I need to break this path after 7. So I can have another pipelining cut set here. Okay, so what have we accomplished so far? Okay, this path 3 plus 2 5, that's fine. This is 3 plus 2 5. That 7 path is broken. 7 paths are broken. 7 paths are broken here. One delay is here. So that doesn't continue. We are done. So if I allow these 5 multipliers to be pipelined with one internal pipelining, 2-stage pipelining, but 2-stage pipelining with unequal level or unequal depth. So the pipelining of the multiply, if this whole thing is one multiply, the pipelining cut set is placed 7/10 from the beginning of the multiply and 3/10 from the right end, the end of the multiply. So somewhere after 70% are done, we had the pipelining delays. Number of delays in the loop 1, 2, that's correct. 1, 2, 3, that's correct. Because you want to make sure that the number of delays in the loop did not change, because if it did, then the computation is altered. That means we are computing some garbage computation and not what we intended to compute. All right. Okay. So that's really, in many ways, that's probably all the concepts that I wanted to talk about before. So let me just give you one other example, and we won't talk a lot about this. Retiming does not alter number of loop delays. Okay, retiming does not alter. So let me just say in a very simple example. Once again, we won't go through, we will not go through fundamental proof and so on. I do that a lot in the other class. We are not really diving deep into these methods, how actually retiming is done in a computer program, and so that's kind of what I talk about in the next semester's class. But just to give you an example, this loop here, single loop, has 12 delays. If I retime it in such a way that, let's say, I move 5 delays from the output to the input, so I place 5 delays here, then move 5 delays, so 10 minus 5 is 5, and then the number of delays is 5 plus 2 plus 5. So no matter how, you can move these 2 delays from here to here, so that will become 7 plus 5, 12. So retiming does not change the number of delays in the loop, and that's how we know that the computation is not being changed. And because the number of loop delays is not changing, retiming does not change the iteration period bound, because the iteration period bound is the maximum loop bound. The loop bounds are loop computation time by loop delays. Because loop delays are not changing, because of retiming, the loop bounds are not changing, which means the iteration period bound is not changing. Okay, so I believe that the homework that I have assigned for next week, you should be able to do all of those problems. That's due next week, Thursday. Okay, we do have 10 minutes or so. I think I can certainly answer any questions if you have any questions, or maybe you want me to review some concepts. I'm happy to do that. You want to ask me about anything, homework or whatever. Do you have any compelling questions where ideas were not clear or you don't understand? Go ahead.
Retiming part in the previous question.
Retiming part in previous what? The you mean the pipelining example?
The one before that.
The one before that? Here? Okay. Okay. So do you understand that the bound is 7 units? Do you understand that? Okay. Do you understand the critical path is 26?
Yes.
Okay, 10 and then 12, 14, 24, 26. Okay. So now, so what I am trying to say here, we can reduce this critical path from 26 to 10. And the way to do that is I picked these cut sets. Okay, let's talk about that in a series of steps. Okay, I mean I have chosen this cut set that I can choose that because I have seen these examples before and I know these things, so I can very quickly choose these cut sets.
Hey, Professor.
Yeah, go ahead.
In this example, the feed forward path is very clear.
Feed forward is not clear
Yes.
because these two edges are going from, think about the direction of flow from this, if this is my boundary, from this side of the boundary to the other side of the boundary. Okay, so think about this is our boundary. So the data in these two are moving from this side to the other side. Whenever you think about cut sets and data flow, think about from one side of cut set to the other side. So think about all the data coming to this cut set are incoming edges and these are outgoing edges. So this data is moving from this side to that side. This data is moving from this side to that side. These two data are moving in the same direction as far as this cut set is concerned. Therefore, it's a feed forward cut set. If this data was moving down, this would be a feedback cut set.
Yes. So the E communication node is still a.
Oh,
Cannot add a delay here, I think.
okay. So okay, hold on. Yeah. So now, okay. So you are now saying this delay we cannot add.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. So okay, that's our cut set. So let me draw it like this if you want. Okay. So that's the cut set now. So when I have this cut set here, think about all the things inside here as one side, outside as another side. It's always the boundary. So that's the boundary, and I'm moving data from this side to that side. So what's the flow of data here? This is my one side. So this is from, think about this from inside to outside, inside to outside. Here data is going down, from out to in, here inside to outside, and here so don't think about the going up, just think about going this way. Okay, inside to outside. Okay. So then I remove one delay from whatever data was coming from out to in, outside to inside. Remove one and add one to each edge going from inside to outside, inside to outside, inside to outside, inside to outside. Is that clearer now? I can describe that in a series of, let's do that. Let's do that. I can describe this as a series of node retiming steps. So a combination of 3 or 4 retiming steps is equivalent to that one cut set retiming. So I can certainly do that, and let's see if we can do that. And that would be a little easier to follow. It's not going to change very much, but that's probably one good way to look at that as well. Okay, so here is what we are going to do. So think about this node as one node that we are going to apply node retiming. Okay, if I apply node retiming to this node, so I remove one delay from this node and add a delay here a delay here, this becomes 2 delays. So, this is an outgoing edge. So, remove one delay from the incoming edge and add one delay to each of the outgoing edge. So, is that legal or not? Okay. Now, take this node, move that from here and add it here. Take these 2 delays and do a node retiming here, remove that delay and add one here and add one here. And now remove that from the incoming edge of the multiply, put it here, remove this delay from incoming, put it here, remove that from that node retiming, put it here. So, after all these steps, I get the same result. So, this cut set retiming is equivalent to retiming at these 6 different nodes. So, if I take node retiming at this node, this node, this node, this node, this node and this node. So, 6 different node retimings combined is equivalent to 1 cut set retiming. Is that clearer? Okay, good, good. Okay, so that same result through a series of 6 node retiming steps. Okay, so we are running out of time, and the exam, I suggest you come 5 minutes late, early, come you may come 10 minutes early, I suggest. We will, okay, the exam will start at 5 minutes early and end 5 minutes late. So, that means you will get 85 minutes instead of 75 minutes. Come a little early, bring your calculators. Okay, so the homework next week is already should be able to, I didn't bring the computer, but you should be able to do the homeworks based on what I have taught. Okay, we will have normal class Tuesday. I will be gone. Thursday of next week I will be gone. So, you can come here and listen to the lecture, or you can listen to lecture on Unite. I believe they keep the lecture on for 24 hours with the start time of the class. So, you can listen to that without coming here. You may post your homework inside my office door. I have posted the homework as due on Thursday, but really I am not coming back until subsequent week Wednesday. I won't know whether you turned in the homework on Thursday or Monday or Tuesday, but I will know. If you have not turned in by Wednesday 5 p.m. or so, I will penalize you. I am not telling you, but essentially the due date is Thursday in class, but really as long as you turn it in by Wednesday of subsequent week. So, let's see, I'm back on March 11th, I believe. Is it? Yeah, I mean, okay, you have few days extra. You have few days extra because I'm gone. So, and it's a little long homework, so that's probably good. Okay, well, okay, yeah, go ahead.
The exam's not going to cover this retiming by binding, right?
These are part of next homework and next exam, part of next exam, second midterm. We have, so the way the class is designed really is 4 homeworks and then an optional 5th homework, which I won't ask you to turn in, and then the exam. So, I want to relieve you from turning in a homework before the exam. So, the intent as always is you turn in homework on Thursday, I hand out your graded homework on Tuesday, and that's what is counted towards the exam on Thursday. So, don't go away, I have your graded exams. Okay, well, see you next class.